Good morning, guys. Let's do some silk reeling. Neck turns. And center and head rolls. And down to center and reverse. And down to center and back up. Spinal waves. And reverse. And good. Let's do shoulder rolls, and as we do these, pay attention to the pattern in which we do them. So we start on the left side, and start with reverses. All right, and then we go forward. And then the other side. And reverse. And alternates. And reverse. And double. And reverse. And good. All right, that series was for the shoulder girdles. Now we're going to work on the pelvic girdle, right? So instead of the shoulder joints, we're going to work on the hip joints. But it's going to be the same pattern. So put your weight to the right, and we're going to work on the left, right? So the left starts back, back, back. And then forward. So forward. Like you're pedaling a bike. Now you get good at this and you do it without touching down. hard to do. It really works you out. All right. Okay, on the other side, right? Reverse. Right, and then forward. Okay, then feet side by side, right? Alternates. Right, inside, you pedal with the bottom of your feet, just like you're pedaling a bike. Inside, it's doing this. If you were actually pedaling a bike, you would actually be doing this exercise, right? Your hip joints have to move like that or you wouldn't be able to pedal the bike. And reverse. And now you're pedaling backwards. Okay, now both sides at once, right? Reverse. All right, and then forward. And good. So I'm going to tell you something as a teacher. I use the phrases belly roll and etc. etc. because that's the translation that English-speaking Chinese students would give us for what Master Zhang said. And I just didn't really think about it. But the truth is they're not really belly, you're not rolling your belly, all right? You're doing something different. You're, when you're rolling your shoulders, now you're rolling your belly, right? You're rolling these joints, now you're rolling these joints, not your belly. Right? Now your belly goes along with it if you think about that. Um, but I never explained that very well. And I didn't explain it well because I was in the mental habit of just doing it and calling it by the name that we had called it for 20 years. But in fact, that wasn't very good. This is part of what you have to do to become a decent teacher, is become aware of what it is you're actually doing, and what you're saying may not be working very well. Right? So from now on, we're going to do that that little routine that mirrors the shoulder girdle with the pelvic girdle, and hopefully you'll get in there that not only are they the same, they're actually connected with each other. All right. Any questions? Good. That must mean I have explained it perfectly. Let's do the elbows.
Yes, actually, you explained it well because I could realize that I never done it right. So, yes.
Good. Excellent. Now, let me ask you something. When we start the real silk reeling series, we do the shoulder reels, and then we do the pelvic reels. Why do we start there? There's a reason for it. And doing the elbow reels, you should feel what the reason is. Why start with the shoulders and the hips? Which joint in your arms and legs is closest to your trunk? Your shoulders and your hips. Then you move out to your elbows, then you move out to your wrists, then you move to your knees, then you move to your ankles. All right? You start at the top of the body, you work to the bottom of the body. Those are the basic rules, all right? So when you do this, if you've already woken up your shoulders and your hip joints, when you do your elbows, you should feel your shoulders and your hip joints as being the foundation of the elbow. And reverse. Right here. Right? The hips, the hip, the hip, the hip. Right? Watch the blue and the red. Um, if you see someone doing an exercise like this, or this exercise, and they're doing it like this, no, Boudet, that's not it. This is it. Yeah, you're going to use your elbow and arm, but your elbow and arm should be very soft. The power is down here. Sink. Sink, not in your knees, in your hips. I know, Jill and Catherine, you watch a lot of MMA fights, and so you're very well aware of the fact that you cannot do this on top of someone's head. You can't do that because you will kill them. All right? You cannot bring the elbow down on their head, but that's what you're doing right here.
Just a quick question also.
Yes.
So when you're sinking in your quad, is that like your butt has to go out, right?
Mine does.
Yeah. So just verifying that I was doing it correctly.
uh, yeah, it will, but not really, Jill, because
Well,
I mean I've got a big butt, so of course it's going to go out a little bit. But um, the way you're sinking is exactly what I was saying the other day
mm,
about the spring.
yeah,
Right? It's not one part going backward, like your butt going backward. It's
right.
more like you're just squeezing the, yes?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
see, the trouble that I was getting into is because that's what I was just like, yeah, no part should be like popping out. But what I realized is like if I try to like that's naturally what's happening. And if I try to not do it, it's like I think it then I
You're right. Don't try to not do it. Just try to do the other thing right, right?
right.
If you stuck your butt out in Master Zhang's class, he would walk up behind you and swat you on the butt, and he would go, this is exactly what he would say, too much butt. Too
Okay.
much butt.
Okay, Malcolm,
Yes.
can you show me when you bend your knee and you don't sink in the quad and then sinking the quad and not in your knee? I mean, I'm not sure that I'm doing it right. I understand the difference, but I'm not sure that my body is doing it right.
I got you. Even if you truly understand this correctly, it takes a long time to get it. Very few people ever get it in the first couple of weeks. It usually takes
Well,
months
because
to
I
practice.
haven't done it in a
So
couple of
the
weeks,
idea,
but
I'm sorry.
I've done it for a long time, not a couple of weeks. So,
Oh, but I mean this particular thing.
ah,
Yeah. So yes, you've done Tai Chi for a long time, but this particular thing. So the idea is you want to sink inside the quad. How can I explain this?
what do you feel?
What you feel is a sense of relaxation. I'm going to go ahead and do it. All right. So now I've got my hip out a little bit, which means my weight is on this side, and I'm going to sink here. Watch.
Mm.
You're not going to see that much on the outside, Bending your knee is this.
I'm doing that.
It does not mean you sunk here. It's the difference between your physical body and your energy body. So think of it this, because it's exactly the same as the Alexander technique directions. If an Alexander teacher was to tell you, take the energy from your navel and let it run down to your hip joint and then down to the bottom of your foot, and you just relax into that. It's like all the sand inside you runs down that channel to the bottom of your feet. It's your inner sand. It's not so much your outer body. But what happens is, because when I told you this story about Michael, right, and that was a true story, but Michael was not the only one. Lots of people were doing it, including me for many years, until you finally figure out what it is he was doing. All right? Letting your inner sand run down there, relax and run down to the bottom of your foot. That's how you ground yourself. That's how you sink. That's one of the main reasons that Tai Chi form is done slowly, to give you time. Every time you sink, it needs to run down to the ground. So give it time. And then on this side. And now on the right side again. And now on the left side. You do the form slowly so that you consciously feel this happening. You don't make it happen. You allow it to happen. Right? It's going to happen on its own if you take some time. The problem is most sports are oriented towards speed. And of course the martial arts are too. But Tai Chi form as a practice thing is about learning how to drop your chi, among other things. So you're dropping your chi. Chi Chen Dan Chen. Drop your chi. Well, that means drop your chi to the Dan Chen, but that's code. It doesn't mean it all goes to the Dan Chen and it's over. It goes to the Dan Chen and then goes all the way to the ground. Boom. Is this clear?
Yes.
It's actually very easy to do, but it can be quite difficult to actually learn in the moment. Jeff, did you have a question?
I was just going to say a little bit of a reiteration, but don't push. Any kind of pushing is less effective.
It's very less effective. You never push your chi. You never get behind your chi and push it. You always lead your chi. Always lead your chi. Don't push it. There's a principle in Taoism itself called Wu Wai. Wu means no. Wai literally means action, outer action. So Wu Wai means no action. And it's often translated into English as non-action. But that's not what it means. It doesn't mean don't take any action. What it means is don't push it. Don't force it. If you've ever had any training in any form of craft, like bookbinding or woodworking or whatever craft you might be involved in, any good teacher is going to tell you don't force anything. If it requires you to force it, it means something's wrong. Something's wrong with the setup. So don't get impatient. Don't try to force it. Just back off, look at the situation a little bit, and figure out what's standing in the way of flow. Tai Chi is about flow. This Tai Chi is about, it just flows. Right? If you get to a place where it doesn't flow, then that's a good place, because it means you got something to learn. If you feel like you've got to force something, oh, okay, that's the place you need to really look at closely. Because if you can figure out what's going on, you will have taken a big step. All right? Jill, that's a long-winded answer, but does that answer your question?
Totally. And has sprung ideas even in other parts of my life.
Good. Good. I know exactly what you mean. All right? Never force anything. Let it happen naturally. Right? On the other side, right? Pay attention to your qua. I don't mean do anything to your qua. I just mean pay attention to it. Right? That's how you actually apply it. Right? What? It's true that the arm gets some motion in there, but the real power comes from moving from this qua to this qua. Watch. 1, 2, 3. Right? Now, when you do it that way, you're doing it the second road way, the Ilu way. Excuse me, the Arlu way. So you have to coordinate left and right hand. I think I mentioned this the other day. Some big mean guys trying to whack you in the head, right? You grab his arm. His arm's already coming this way, so it's very easy to pull it a little more this way and miss your nose. At the same time, you come into his ribs, right? Because you got his arm up now, his ribs are all exposed. You come into his ribs with your elbow. And if you've ever had anybody come into your ribs with your elbow, you will realize how devastating it is. It will knock the wind out of you. It may knock you to the ground, right? You grab the guy, boom. Grab the guy, boom. Grab the guy, boom, right? Maybe for whatever reason you decide you don't want to hit him in the ribs. Grab the guy, punch him in the nose. 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 Maybe he's protecting his nose. In that case, hit him in the balls. Boom. 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 Right? So you have 3 deadly options, right? Hit the guy in the nose or the throat or upside the ear, hit him in the balls, or get him in the ribs. And both of them require tremendous left-right body coordination. It's exactly like a dance step. Right? Boom. 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 Now, you don't have to have the left hand. So you guys can check out my new movie, One-Armed Wushu Master. It's coming out this fall. All right. You killed my master. Now I must kill you. All right, that's actually a move in the form. Catherine, I don't think you've ever gotten to it if you never did the last, right? That's actually one of the moves in the form later on. So you will have learned that move already.
And I have to ask, were you referencing Princess Bride?
No, when I say it's supposed to be really bad lip syncing, right? Somebody's dubbed in the English, right?
Sure.
You killed my master, now I must kill you. That's that's a trope from a lot of old Hong Kong kung fu movies, right?
I see.
Always the
Okay.
same thing. They killed his
I-
master, so now he must kill them. Okay. Um, you can gain a tremendous amount of body strength doing Tai Chi. And the way that it's going to work, if you do it properly, is it's going to start at your feet. And it's going to work up your legs and your abdomen, your lower back, then your chest, then your arms. It starts from the ground and works up. But it depends on, it won't work if you're not using your quad and your lower back. Because if these are stiff, if you're just doing this, these become like shut doors, and they shut the flow of chi. So the best thing you can do when you're practicing Tai Chi and Qigong is stay in a horse stance. You don't have to be down a long way down, because that may hurt your knees or whatever. You can do a high horse stance, but what you have to have is a round qua. It's called yuan dang. This area, the groin, this area is called the dang, D-A-N-G. And for something to be round is yuan, as in Hun Yuan, right? The name of what we do. Yuan means a round. This needs to be round. So, all right, this is like an arch, like a round arch. It's not a pointed arch. If it's a pointed arch, like some Gothic arches were, that sharp angle will cut the flow of chi between both sides of the body. That is called a jiandang, which means an arrowhead-shaped groin. Jiandang, G-I-A-N, jian means arrowhead. So jiandang is not right, yuandang is right. So how do you do that? Well, you sort of do Alexander technique, spread out. Now, sit down a little bit. That means sink in your qua, like you're sitting on a horse. All right? Now, if you're doing a high horse stance, that means it's a very skinny horse. But that's okay, right? You're sitting on a skinny horse. And now when you move, right, it's very easy to use your hip joints. Hip joints, hip joints, hip joints. Sink in your hips. You don't have to go down a long way to sink in your hips. You can just go down a little bit. But when you sink in your hips and use your hips, it will build your strength faster than anything else. Because the biggest muscles in the body are in your thighs and your butt. And when you sink a little in your hips, you're activating your thighs and your butt muscles. And after you do this for a few weeks, then maybe you can go down another inch. Watch the blue and the red. Red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. Here, going here, 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 here. And alternates. Now the temptation with this particular part of the move or the exercise and many other exercises is to raise your chi. Because I'm coming up and then I stay up and I'm coming up and I'm up and now my chi's up in my chest. So you have to become aware of that. What's the alternative way? Rather than bringing all your chi up and then leaving it up and kind of going like this and having your chi up really high, what else could you do? How can you keep your chi down?
I'm gonna guess sink in your qua.
That's a great idea. Excellent. Sometimes people raise their chi so
I'm
much.
sorry, I need to go.
You got to go. Okay, we'll see you next time.
See you tomorrow.
Sometimes people raise their chi so much, you sort of feel like you're going to have to use an EpiPen on them, right? Because they're cut. Feel, you raise your chi up here. Raise it up here. Just leave it here. Oh God, you can't breathe anymore. And you're pressuring your heart, and you're closing your lungs. Oh, that does not feel good. Right? So, right, you stay down here. Reverse. So in this exercise, it would also be really possible to raise your chi, all right? They can just raise everything up and pull your leg out of the ground. But it's a little easier to see what you do to reverse that or not to do that. So I'm gonna bring the energy up my right leg, boom, into my right elbow. Boom, boom. So something's coming up. That means something needs to go down. What's going down is the red. Watch. Down, down. Now, I don't mean down physically. What I mean is you're dropping your chi inside your leg. And if you're doing alternate, now the blue drops, now the red drops, now the blue drops, now the red drops. Jack, are you doing push hands with Michael in the group?
Yep. And just me and Michael.
Okay, so one of the secrets of doing push hands, first of all, is just to think that it is non-competitive. Even though, of course, you do compete when you do it, but it's non-competitive. It's a form of training that allows you to hopefully see what's going on and make corrections. So let's say, Michael's got hold of you and you need to not give him an elbow strike, but maybe an elbow push. All right. So he's got you over here. You're going to do an elbow push. So you just learned one of the secrets of doing this. When you do the elbow push, you need to drop in this qua. All right. Which is another way of saying you're shifting, you're grounding from the blue leg to the red leg. The blue leg is grounded. You could do this without even having the red leg there. All right. And now when I push, I'm shifting the grounding to the red leg. When you get comfortable with that, you can do it instantaneously. But this is part of the exercise training for that. You just sort of get used to it. Providing You pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, as Master Zhang used to say. All right, well, we're a little past time, but we started a little late. So, all right, good, guys. We'll see you next time. Oh, happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Thanks, you too.